There's a persistent whisper in the deepest parts of our minds, isn't there? A feeling that something crucial, something fundamentally meant to be known, has been spirited away. It's like a forgotten language, a melody just beyond hearing, a map with vital landmarks erased. This isn't about grand conspiracies in the shadows, but a more insidious, almost cosmic amnesia. We sense the gaps, the unanswered questions that echo in religious texts, in ancient myths, in the very fabric of our collective unconscious. It's the unsettling awareness that our understanding of reality, of our place within it, is incomplete. This deliberate void, this intentional obscuring of profound truths, has left humanity adrift, disconnected from deeper currents of existence. But what if there's a key? A symbol, not of power in the worldly sense, but a key to unlock understanding, to mend the fractured memory of our souls. This is where we begin, with the uneasy intuition that something vital has been hidden, poised to reveal a history and a spirituality far richer and more complex than we're led to believe. This unsettling feeling is the first step, the quiet realization that the path forward requires looking beyond the familiar, into the veiled corners of existence. What we'll uncover next is the symbol that holds these forgotten pathways. The symbol we've alluded to, the one that acts as a forgotten key, is known as the Sigil of Oblivion. It's not something you'll find in common occult texts or New Age channels. It's a mark that has been deliberately scrubbed from our collective memory. Its very existence a testament to a power that thrives on ignorance. This isn't just an abstract concept. The Sigil of Oblivion manifests in the world, subtly woven into the architecture of forgotten places, in the intricate patterns of ancient art, and even in the coded language of certain esoteric traditions. Its design is deceptively simple, yet profoundly complex, carrying within it a geometric resonance that speaks directly to the binding of consciousness. When you first encounter it, it might feel unsettling, like a recognition of something too ancient, too powerful to fully grasp. But its purpose is not mere decoration. It's a literal mechanism for suppressing awareness. This sigil acts as an anchor, a spiritual lock that fastens our minds to a limited perception of reality. Understanding its form is the first step to dismantling its power. But where does this power reside, and how does it truly function to dim our inner light? The function of the Sigil of Oblivion is terrifyingly effective because it doesn't force anything. Instead, it subtly redirects, like a gentle current guiding a ship off course. It operates by hijacking the very frequencies of perception, bending them inward, creating a closed loop of sensory input and interpretation. This creates a spiritual feedback mechanism, reinforcing a constrained worldview, making alternative realities seem impossible or heretical. Think of it as a cosmic blindfold, not imposed with force, but woven with threads of doubt and distraction. This sigil doesn't erase knowledge. It merely makes that knowledge inaccessible, burying it beneath layers of manufactured consensus and perceived limitations. It binds consciousness by disconnecting us from the intuitive, the direct knowing that transcends rational thought. We are left feeling fragmented, incomplete, with a gnawing sense that something important is missing, without ever knowing what it is or how to find it. This binding is so pervasive, so deeply integrated into our cultural and spiritual landscape, that breaking free requires sharp awareness. But how can one recognize a cage that has become their entire world? And real quick, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos. Now let's keep going. The omnipresence of the Sigil of Oblivion explains why certain spiritual practices feel hollow, why ascension attempts often lead to dead ends, and why the seeker often finds themselves continually chasing an elusive truth. This sigil is not a random artifact. It's a carefully designed tool of metaphysical control, a pattern embedded in our societal structures, designed to keep us in a perpetual state of looking without truly seeing. It thrives in the spaces where critical thought is discouraged and unquestioning acceptance is prized. Its presence is subtle, a recurring motif in symbols and designs that have been normalized to the point of invisibility. You might pass it every day without a second glance, yet its energetic signature is constantly at work, shaping your perceptions and limiting your potential. This constant, unseen influence is what makes it so difficult to break free from. The very air we breathe, metaphorically speaking, is imbued with its energetic imprint. But what happens when we begin to see its pattern, not just in ancient relics, but in the very narratives we consume? The sigil of Oblivion's influence extends into the stories we tell ourselves and the narratives that shape our collective understanding. It's woven into allegories of progress that lead nowhere, into tales of salvation that trap rather than liberate. These stories, seemingly innocuous, serve as conduits, amplifying the sigil's binding effect by reinforcing its core principles within our subconscious. We are drawn into cycles of desire and disappointment, always seeking fulfillment outside ourselves, never realizing the lock is already in place. Consider how many cultural narratives emphasize external validation, the chase for the unattainable or the fear of the unknown. These are not accidents. They are echoes of the sigil's design, reinforcing the idea that true understanding or liberation lies beyond our reach, making us less likely to question the fundamental nature of our reality. This constant, subtle reinforcement ensures the sigil's grip remains firm, perpetuating a cycle of searching without ever finding the true source within. The sigil of Oblivion isn't just a passive symbol. It actively shapes our spiritual and energetic pathways. It creates an energetic blueprint for what is considered acceptable thought and feeling, effectively pruning away anything that deviates from its prescribed boundaries. This can manifest as a general malaise, a feeling of energetic depletion, or an inability to connect with higher states of consciousness. Our spiritual energy, meant to flow freely, finds itself rerouted, contained, and ultimately diminished. It's as if our energetic bodies are being funneled through a narrow aperture, preventing the full spectrum of our divine potential from manifesting. This isn't about suppressing good intentions, but about systematically limiting the energetic range of our being, ensuring we remain within a predetermined energetic vibration. This constant energetic redirection is a core aspect of the sigil's binding power. But how does this energetic shaping translate into the tangible experience of our daily lives, creating the very reality we perceive? The energetic shaping dictated by the sigil of Oblivion directly translates into the tangible reality we experience. It influences the archetypal energies we are drawn to, the relationships we form, and the opportunities that appear to present themselves. It creates an energetic resonance with objects, people, and situations that conform to its limited blueprint, while subtly repelling or distorting anything that falls outside its influence. This creates a self-fulfilling prophecy of constraint. We literally begin to perceive a world that aligns with the sigil's limitations, making radical shifts in perspective feel impossible. The world reflects back to us what the sigil allows us to see, reinforcing the illusion of a fixed and unchangeable existence. This energetic mirroring is a powerful tool of control, ensuring that, while we may seek change, we remain energetically tethered to the very patterns we wish to escape, making genuine liberation seem like an insurmountable obstacle. But what if this energetic shaping isn't just about our personal reality, but about a grander, cosmic design of control? The design of the Sigil of Oblivion is not merely metaphorical. It's based on ancient, esoteric geometry that resonates with the very structure of the cosmos. This geometry doesn't represent a natural cosmic order, but an imposed, artificial construct. It's a blueprint for a reality designed to contain and limit, to channel cosmic energies into predictable, manageable streams. The symbol itself is a representation of this imposed geometric lock, a visual cue to the underlying mechanism of control. Understanding this geometry is crucial because it reveals that our perceived universe is not inherently constrained. The limitations we experience are architected, built using specific energetic and symbolic forms. The sigil is a schematic of this architecture, a diagram of the cage that has been constructed around consciousness. This realization is deeply unsettling because it implies our reality is a curated experience, not an organic unfolding. But what cosmic entity would benefit from such a grand design, and what celestial body is associated with this geometry? The entity most profoundly associated with this imposed geometry and the Sigil of Oblivion is Saturn. Often depicted as a stern, restrictive force, Saturn's influence is directly tied to the creation of boundaries, limitations, and the very concept of time as a linear, constraining progression. The sigil's geometric patterns are a direct energetic imprint of Saturn's principles, used to bind consciousness within its temporal and spatial dominion. It's the cosmic architect of our perceived prison. Saturn's role here is not as an external punisher, but as the energetic manifestation of the principle of limitation itself. The sigil is its signature, its mark upon reality, designed to enforce a specific, constrained experience of existence. This connection is vital because it reveals the source of the restrictive energies that permeate our lives. But how does Saturn's influence, symbolized by this sigil, specifically target our most fundamental aspect of self, our identity? Saturn's influence, channeled through the Sigil of Oblivion, targets our identity by fundamentally altering our perception of self. It distorts the connection to our higher consciousness, making us identify solely with the ego, the temporal self, and the physical body. This creates an energetic loop where our sense of being is rooted in the transient and the material, severing us from the eternal and the spiritual. We become defined by our limitations, our roles, and our external achievements rather than our intrinsic divine essence. This distortion of identity is the ultimate binding, because to lose connection with our true self is to forget our inherent freedom and power. We are led to believe that our current, limited form is all there is, making the idea of transcending these limitations appear delusional or impossible. The sigil, in essence, hijacks our self-definition, anchoring it to a fabricated reality. But what if the very concept of spiritual awakening, as we understand it, is part of this trap? What if the divine light we seek is a manufactured beacon? Indeed, the divine light, or the promise of salvation offered in many spiritual traditions, can be a sophisticated part of the Sigil of Oblivion's mechanism. Instead of truly liberating consciousness, these artificial frequencies can act as a secondary binding agent, drawing spiritual seekers towards a subtly controlled transcendence. This illusion of ascension leads to a dead end, a perceived spiritual high that ultimately keeps the individual tethered to the system, mistaking a controlled exit for genuine freedom. This manufactured salvation often operates on a set of energetic frequencies that are compatible with the sigil's restrictive blueprint. It offers a palatable form of transcendence, one that doesn't fundamentally challenge the established order. The seeker feels they are progressing, moving towards enlightenment, but in reality, they are merely being guided to a slightly higher rung on the ladder of the same cage, never truly escaping its architecture. This illusion is deeply insidious because it preys on our most sacred desires. But what happens when this manufactured frequency is aimed directly at our minds? And how does it specifically manipulate memory? The manufactured frequencies associated with the Sigil of Oblivion are specifically designed to influence and manipulate our memory, both personal and collective. They introduce subtle distortions, deletions, and implants, creating a corrupted timeline of our experiences and our history. This doesn't necessarily mean forgetting everything, but rather having our memories laced with inaccuracies, false conclusions, and strategically omitted crucial details, all of which reinforce the sigil's narrative. This memory manipulation is integral to maintaining the illusion of a limited reality. If our understanding of the past is compromised, our ability to envision a different future is equally hampered. We become trapped in a fabricated history, unable to recognize the full extent of what has been suppressed or the true potential that lies dormant within us. The sigil, therefore, doesn't just bind our present. It actively rewrites our past to secure its hold on our future. But what are the ultimate consequences of this memory corruption on our sense of individuality and our soul's journey? The ultimate consequence of this memory corruption, powered by the Sigil of Oblivion, is the erosion of our true individuality and the entanglement of our soul's journey in a cyclical, predetermined pattern. When our memories are tampered with, our sense of self becomes fragmented, disconnected from our authentic experiences and cosmic origins. We are left adrift, embodying a persona shaped by external forces rather than our soul's true blueprint, making genuine self-discovery an arduous, often fruitless endeavor. This corruption leads to a spiritual amnesia, where the soul forgets its divine nature and its inherent right to freedom. The journey of the soul, meant to be a path of growth and evolution, becomes a loop, a recurring series of experiences designed to reinforce the sigil's limitations. We are born, we live, we die, and we return, all within the energetic confines of the sigil, without ever truly remembering why we are here or where we truly belong, perpetuating an endless cycle of perceived existence. But how do we begin to dismantle this intricate, energetic architecture? And what are the first tangible steps one can take to break free from its grip? Dismantling the energetic architecture of the Sigil of Oblivion begins with a profound act of conscious awareness and deliberate redirection. It requires a commitment to questioning every perceived reality and a courageous willingness to look beyond the veil of comforting illusions. The first tangible step is to cultivate an unwavering inner discernment, learning to recognize the signature of the sigil's influence in your thoughts, emotions, and external circumstances, which requires a deep dive into recognizing the spiritual implications of Saturn's cube. To break free, one must actively choose to shift their energetic focus away from the external constructs of limitation and towards the internal wells of divine truth. This involves a conscious effort to reclaim your energetic sovereignty, to refuse to let your perception be dictated by imprinted frequencies, and to begin the process of remapping your internal energetic blueprint. Recognizing the presence of Saturn's cube and its symbolic link to this entire system of control is crucial for the next stage of our awakening. The significance of Saturn's cube, a stark and powerful symbol, cannot be overstated in understanding the architecture of control. It represents not just a physical limitation, but a metaphysical prison, a sacred geometry that solidifies the boundaries of our perceived reality. This cube is more than a geometric shape. It is a manifestation of Saturn's principle of restriction, a foundational element from which the sigil of Oblivion draws its power to bind consciousness and dictate the terms of our existence, hinting at a throne of authority from which these forces operate. This geometric lock, this representation of containment, is deeply embedded in the symbolic language of power and authority. Its presence in various cultural and religious contexts is not coincidental, but a testament to its role in establishing and maintaining systems of control. Recognizing the cube's role is essential to understanding the throne of power from which this entire matrix of limitation is managed. But what lies at the heart of this power structure? And what ancient force resides upon this throne, casting its shadow over humanity? At the heart of this power structure, residing upon the conceptual throne, is the archetype of the archon, a force often misunderstood and demonized, but fundamentally representing the entities that govern and maintain the matrix of illusion. These beings, or energetic principles, thrive on the very limitations imposed by Saturn's cube and amplified by the sigil of Oblivion. They are the architects and custodians of the artificial reality, tasked with keeping consciousness bound and unaware of its true, limitless potential, creating an inverted order where divine feminine principles are often suppressed. These archons are not necessarily malevolent in the human sense, but their function is to enforce the established order, to prevent the awakening of souls from rejoining the cosmic source. They operate by manipulating the energetic frequencies of fear, scarcity, and division, ensuring humanity remains fragmented and disempowered. Understanding their role on this symbolic throne is critical to comprehending the ultimate source of the binding forces we seek to overcome, and how this inversion of divine energy became a ritualized practice. The ritualization of inversion, the deliberate turning of divine feminine principles into corrupted archetypes, is a cornerstone of the archonic strategy. Historically, these powerful feminine energies representing creation, intuition, and nurturing have been systematically demonized and associated with darkness or evil. This inversion serves to strip humanity of its connection to the wild, untamed, and profoundly creative aspects of the divine, leaving us more susceptible to the sterile, ordered, and restrictive energies favored by the archonic system and its geometric prisons, furthering the cycle of fragmentation. This systematic demonization ensures that the very energies most capable of breaking free from imposed limitations are seen as dangerous and undesirable. By corrupting the divine feminine, the archons weaken humanity's innate ability to connect with higher states of consciousness and to manifest reality from a place of wholeness and love, leaving us reliant on the very systems designed to keep us bound. As our energetic pathways become tethered to artificial salvation frequencies, the concept of artificial frequency, particularly in relation to salvation, is a critical component of the archonic control system. Instead of genuine spiritual liberation, seekers are often directed towards energetic frequencies that mimic true transcendence, but ultimately serve to keep them within the confines of the matrix. These salvation frequencies offer a sense of peace or enlightenment, but they operate within the predefined parameters of the system, preventing true soul evolution and keeping the consciousness entangled in illusory cycles, creating a gilded cage of spiritual progression. This artificial salvation masquerades as freedom, offering solace without true liberation. It's a sophisticated form of energetic tethering, ensuring that even the most earnest spiritual pursuits are subtly channeled into compliance. The aspirant feels they are ascending, but they are merely being guided onto a predetermined path that reinforces the archonic agenda, never truly reaching the boundless source from which they came. But what happens to our sense of self when our very existence is built upon this illusion of salvation? And how does this specifically impact our identity? When our very existence is built upon the illusion of artificial salvation, our sense of self becomes profoundly compromised, intrinsically entangled with manufactured spiritual constructs. Our identity ceases to be a reflection of our unique soul's journey and instead becomes an imprint of the archonic frequencies we've absorbed. We begin to believe that our liberation is dependent on these external energetic signals, rather than an inherent birthright, leading to a deeply fractured sense of self, a composite of borrowed spiritualities. This entanglement means that our personal spiritual growth becomes synonymous with adherence to these controlled frequencies, rather than the authentic exploration of our own divine potential. We mistake the echo of liberation for its source, leading to a persistent feeling of incompleteness, a spiritual hunger that can never be truly satisfied by these artificial means, making the very concept of authentic selfhood feel like a distant, unattainable ideal. But what if the true, organic frequency of the soul is not something to be found, but something to be remembered? And what is the primal vibration that underlies all existence? The primal vibration that underlies all existence is not something to be found in external salvation frequencies, but something to be remembered from within the very core of our being. It is the organic, unadulterated frequency of the soul, the pure resonance of pure consciousness that existed before any matrix or veil. This fundamental vibration is the true signature of our divine origin, a harmonic chord that can unravel the illusions and artificialities that have been layered upon us. And remembering it is the key to reclaiming our original blueprint. This foundational frequency is the antithesis of the artificial control mechanisms. It is the essence of unity, of infinite potential, and of unconditional love. It is the primal hum of existence itself, a reminder of our inherent connection to the divine source that predates all limitations. Accessing this internal vibration is not an act of seeking, but an act of remembering, of stripping away the imposed layers to reveal the eternal truth that has always resided within us. A truth that directly contradicts the binding signal of the cosmos. The binding signal of the cosmos, emanating from the architect of limitation, Saturn, is a complex energetic signature designed to keep consciousness tethered to a specific vibrational range. This signal is not merely sound, but a multi-layered current that affects perception, emotion, and memory, creating loops of experience that reinforce confinement and prevent any true escape from the current reality. It's a pervasive emanation that silently shapes our existence, a cosmic hum that dictates the permissible spectrum of our awareness. This signal is the energetic broadcast of the archonic system, a constant reinforcement of the illusory boundaries. It ensures that our internal vibrations remain within the permissible parameters, making any attempt to resonate with higher, untethered frequencies feel alien or impossible. The very fabric of our perceived universe vibrates with this signal, ensuring that any deviation is quickly corrected, keeping us perpetually within its grasp and deeply intertwined with the mechanisms of control that bind our very identity. The binding of identity is the ultimate goal of this cosmic signal. By disrupting the soul's connection to its true, expansive self, the signal creates a fragmented identity, one that identifies with the limitations, the roles, and the illusions presented by the archonic matrix. This manipulation goes beyond mere memory corruption. It is a fundamental redefinition of who we are, anchoring our sense of self to the restricted energetic signature, making us believe that our limited, curated existence is the entirety of our being, and that the universe itself wishes for our continuous entrapment. This profound binding of identity ensures that even when presented with glimpses of truth, we are unable to truly integrate them, as our core sense of self is energetically aligned with the control system. Our very essence becomes a part of the mechanism, convinced that this confined existence is our natural state. We are effectively rewired, our souls recalibrated to a frequency that guarantees perpetual confinement within the cosmic architecture. But in the heart of this binding, a different kind of wisdom begins to emerge. One born from the silence between the cosmic hum, pointing towards a path beyond. In the heart of this binding, where the cosmic hum of control attempts to silence all else, a different kind of wisdom begins to emerge. It is the wisdom born from the silence between the signal, from the quiet spaces where the artificial frequencies cannot penetrate. This emerged wisdom is not a new teaching, but a rediscovery of innate knowing, a recognition of the soul's inherent understanding that predates and transcends all imposed limitations, suggesting that the very structure designed to bind us also holds the seeds of our liberation. This emergent wisdom whispers of unity, of the soul's boundless nature, and of the illusory nature of everything that binds us. It is the intuitive compass pointing towards a path beyond the archonic matrix, a path illuminated not by artificial salvation frequencies, but by the remembrance of our own primal vibration. This quiet, persistent knowing is the first true spark of rebellion, the recognition that the universe's intended design is not one of eternal confinement, but of infinite expansion, and the journey out begins not with seeking, but with remembering the signal that truly defines us. Make sure to subscribe for more videos and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new video. We'll see you in the next one.